The moment Lila told me, "You're not welcome here," the air inside our home cracked like thin ice beneath a heavy step, and I felt a sting I couldn't name as I watched her eyes shift away from mine, almost as if she was hiding a truth too dangerous to speak aloud. I kept wondering how my own daughter could look at me like a stranger, what changed in her heart, and why she needed distance so badly that she would close the door on me. The silence swallowed every memory we ever built, and before I could steady myself, my phone rang, and the Realtor's bright voice cut through the tension as he casually referred to Lila as my tenant, a word that twisted deeper than any argument. What was she planning behind my back? What truth could destroy our family forever? Who lied first? And who will pay the price? And why did Lila feel she needed to protect herself from her own mother? The fear rising inside me told me this wasn't a simple misunderstanding, but the beginning of something none of us were ready to face. My heart still pounded as I stepped away from the doorway, each second stretching like it refused to end. I kept replaying Lily's voice over and over, searching for some hidden meaning behind her tone, something that would make it all make sense. I tried calling her name, hoping she'd open the door again, but all that answered me was silence and the faint echo of my own desperation. When the Realtor's second call came, his cheerful tone felt wrong, almost mocking. As he casually mentioned paperwork I didn't recognize, it made me wonder when my own home became something discussed behind my back. The confusion twisted into fear. What was Lila hiding, and why was she trusting strangers over her own mother? I walked toward my car slowly, feeling as though each step pulled me further away from the daughter I thought I knew. The sky above had darkened fully now, and the cold felt sharper, like the world itself was warning me that something much bigger was unfolding. All I could think about was the way Lila refused to meet my eyes, the tension in her voice, the way she held her breath as if she was terrified of something. When I reached for my car door, I spotted a stack of unfamiliar flyers tucked under the windshield wiper. Rental advertisements with my address printed boldly across them. It felt like the ground shifted under me. Was this what Lila had been hiding all along? And why didn't she trust me enough to tell? The words on the flyer blurred as my mind raced, piecing together fragments of conversations I once dismissed as stress or overthinking. Suddenly, Lila's distant tone, her late-night whispers on the phone, her constant checking of emails, all of it clicked into place like a lock snapping shut. Someone had been guiding her, someone feeding her information and convincing her she didn't need me. When my phone buzzed again, I half expected it to be Lila apologizing, but instead, it was another message from the Realtor asking me to confirm ownership details. My chest tightened. Why would he need that unless something had already been changed? I leaned against the cold metal of the car, trying to steady my breathing as the truth crept in slowly and painfully. This wasn't just a misunderstanding or a moment of anger. Something bigger was happening, something that involved people I didn't even know yet. If my own daughter was being called a tenant, then what had she signed? What had she agreed to without me? My hands shook as I dialed her number again, listening to it ring and ring with no answer. Each unanswered tone felt like another wall going up between us, and I knew deep down that whatever I was about to uncover would change everything. The next morning arrived heavy and slow, the kind of morning where even the sunlight felt hesitant to touch anything. I sat in my car outside the house, staring at the front door that once meant warmth and safety, wondering how things had twisted into something so cold. Every memory of Lila laughing with me, sitting beside me, trusting me, clashed against the way she shut me out. I kept replaying the Realtor's voice, the word tenant, the hidden flyers, everything pointing toward a truth she wasn't ready to admit. I needed answers. But I also needed to understand how long she'd been pulling away without me noticing. Had the distance started months ago? Or did something, or someone. Push her to believe she had no other choice. I finally stepped out of the car, hoping the cool morning air would clear my thoughts, but instead it brought back memories I'd been avoiding. I remembered Lila's frustration each time I brushed off her concerns, her tight smiles during dinners, the way she drifted towards silence instead of conversation. Maybe I had been too wrapped up in holding everything together to notice her slipping away. As I approached the porch, I saw a faint outline of footprints in the thin layer of dew. Hers, pacing, hesitating, as if she had wrestled with the words she eventually said to me. That realization stung more than anything. She hadn't said it easily. She had been hurting, too. When I finally built the courage to knock again, I didn't expect an answer, and I didn't get one. The house was silent except for the faint hum of appliances behind the door. Just as I turned away, my phone buzzed. A message from Ethan, politely reminding me about the scheduled showing he claimed Lila approved. My jaw tightened. There was no chance my daughter would willingly agree to strangers touring our home, unless she had been convinced it was her only option. The idea made my stomach twist. Someone was guiding her, filling her head with promises or threats I couldn't see, and I needed to know who. I stepped back from the porch and walked toward the side yard, letting memories pull me in directions I didn't expect. I remembered the night Lila argued with someone on the phone, her voice low, strained, and scared. I had assumed it was school stress or a friend issue, but now I could almost hear her words again. I don't know if I can trust her with this. It hurt to realize she might have been talking about me. As I reached the fence, something caught my eye, a discarded copy of paperwork just barely poking out from under the recycling bin. My heart stopped. My sister's handwriting glared back at me. For a long moment, I just stared at the paper, letting old wounds reopen on their own. Savannah had always been the one to hold grudges longer than anyone, the one who believed she deserved more than what life gave her. The last time we spoke, bitterness hung in the air like a storm that never broke. And now she was involved with Lila, my daughter. Without a single word to me, my pulse pounded in my ears as I realized this wasn't just a misunderstanding or a desperate decision. Someone had pushed Lila into this corner, someone who had every reason to hurt me, and now my daughter was tangled in the fallout. I carried the paper inside my car, afraid the wind might snatch away the only clue I had. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I unfolded it completely. The ink smudged at the edges, as if someone had tried to hide their involvement. Savannah's handwriting was unmistakable, sharp, hurried, and always leaning too far to the right. Seeing her notes beside Lila's name sent a chill through me, and suddenly every uneasy silence between us, every moment Lila avoided my questions, made a painful kind of sense. She wasn't acting alone. Someone had convinced her that I was a threat instead of the mother who raised her. The betrayal stung, but the fear was worse. What had they changed? What had they signed without me? I drove straight to the county records office, hoping, praying, that everything I feared was just in my head. The lobby was quiet, filled with the soft hum of printers and the distant shuffle of paperwork. When I asked the clerk to pull up my property file, I could barely breathe. Her eyes scanned the screen, her brows knit together, and her polite smile faded into something colder. "It looks like there were recent changes," she said. My stomach tightened. She turned the monitor slightly, and there it was. A document I had never signed, with a signature that wasn't mine. My knees weakened as I stared. Someone had legally altered my house records. Someone had pretended to be me. Ishao, towards D. Until well. My head spun as I reviewed the altered file, each line proving my fears right. The moment I saw Lila's name listed under authorized tenant, my heart sank. She had gone further than hiding rental flyers. She had signed documents tying herself legally to the house without me. But the forged signature on the ownership modification wasn't hers. Lila may have crossed lines, but she hadn't forged my name. That meant someone else had stepped deeper into this than I imagined. Ethan's casual tone on the phone replayed in my mind. The way he kept insisting he was following instructions. Whose instructions? Lila's? Or someone more manipulative, someone with a long history of resentment? Determined to confront the truth, I stepped outside the office and dialed Ethan's number before my courage faded. He answered too quickly, his tone overly bright, as if he had been expecting my call. When I questioned him about the unauthorized changes, there was a beat of silence. Too long to be innocent. Before he said he was just helping my daughter secure a stable future. The words curdled inside me. How did he know anything about our family issues? Who gave him the right to make decisions about my home? His slip was small but clear. He had been meeting with someone else. Someone who filled in the pieces he shouldn't have known. And only one person hated me enough to twist the truth like that. I didn't wait for explanations. I drove straight to Savannah's house, my pulse hammering as years of unresolved tension tightened in my chest. Every memory of our last argument, of the inheritance fight, came rushing back like a storm I never truly escaped. When I knocked, the door swung open slowly, and there she was, calm, collected, almost pleased to see me shaken. The way she crossed her arms told me everything. She wasn't surprised. She had been waiting for this moment. And before I even asked, I saw the truth in her eyes. She had guided Lila. She had helped change the documents. She had stepped into my daughter's life like she still had a right to. Savannah didn't even pretend to be confused. She leaned against the doorway with the same cold confidence she always carried. The kind that made every word from her feel like a calculated strike. When I asked why she involved herself in my daughter's decisions, she smirked as if she'd been waiting years for the question. She spoke slowly, choosing each word with precision, hinting that she had only guided Lila toward independence. But the look in her eyes told another story. One built from old wounds, jealousy, and an inheritance argument that never healed. As she talked, I realized she had spent years feeding her bitterness until it finally found a target, my relationship with Lila. And now she had used my daughter to strike where it hurt most. Her words were slippery, twisting guilt into something she tried to place on me. She claimed she stepped in because I had lost control, because Lila needed someone responsible. Each sentence dug deeper, stirring up memories of our childhood fights, of the years she spent insisting I always got more than I deserved. I felt anger rising in my chest, but beneath it was something heavier. Fear that she had poisoned Lila's trust one conversation at a time. Savannah finally admitted she had shown Lila documents, explained how easy it would be to protect herself from my financial past. That was when the truth hit me hard. Savannah wanted Lila to believe I was a danger, not a mother trying my best. I stepped deeper into the hallway, unable to stop myself from confronting her. The air felt thick with old resentment, and for a moment, it was as if we were children again, arguing over things too big for us to understand. Savannah didn't back down. She claimed she was saving Lila from repeating my mistakes, twisting my past struggles into weapons. Hearing her speak about debt, I thought I'd kept private made my stomach drop. She had gone through my history, taken pieces of truth, and handed them to Lila without the full story. I could almost picture my daughter hearing those words, scared and confused, believing the worst of me because Savannah made it sound logical. As Savannah continued, her tone sharpened, revealing the bitterness she had been hiding behind her calm expression. She accused me of being reckless, irresponsible, even selfish, claims she had repeated so many times they sounded rehearsed. But then she said the one thing that stripped the air from my lungs. Lila deserves better than you. Hearing those words made everything inside me go still. Savannah wasn't protecting Lila. She was punishing me. Her influence had twisted the truth, turning a scared daughter into someone who thought she needed protection from her own mother. I left her house without saying another word, knowing that arguing would only feed her satisfaction. As the door closed behind me, the weight of everything Savannah had done pressed down hard. She had interfered not out of love for Lila, but out of spite for me. Walking toward my car, I felt a mixture of heartbreak and determination rising inside me. If Savannah had twisted the truth and filled Lila with fear, then I needed to untangle every lie and show my daughter the full story. The real story. I wasn't going to lose her. Not to deception. Not to jealousy. Not to the past. Driving back toward the house felt different. Now heavier. Almost like the road itself resisted taking me there. I kept thinking about Savannah's words, how easily she spoke them, as if tearing my family apart was something she had rehearsed for years. The closer I got, the more I noticed small signs I ignored before. Strangers slowing down to look at the property. A car parked across the street with someone inside scrolling through their phone. The feeling of eyes studying the house like it was already on the market. My home wasn't just slipping away emotionally. It was slipping away physically. Everything Savannah started was pushing Lila into chaos, and if I didn't act now, I feared the damage would become something we couldn't recover from. When I stepped onto the porch, my phone buzzed with another message from Ethan, this time confirming a potential tenant wanting an immediate tour. The words made my stomach twist. This wasn't just paperwork anymore. It was real. People were lining up to take over the place I had raised my daughter in. I tried calling Lila again, hoping she would finally answer, but each ring only tightened the knot in my chest. I could feel her slipping away further with every moment of silence, and the idea that she might think I was the enemy twisted my heart in ways I didn't know were possible. Just as I stepped off the porch, a silver SUV pulled up in front of the house. A couple stepped out, smiling politely as they asked if this was us. The rental. Hearing that word directed at my home felt like a blow to the chest. I tried explaining there had been a mistake, but their confusion turned into embarrassment as they mentioned speaking directly with Ethan, and even receiving a tour confirmation from the tenant, my daughter. The realization that Lila had been speaking to strangers about our home, preparing them, coordinating with them, broke something inside me that I didn't even know could break. After the couple left, offering awkward apologies, I felt the house growing quieter around me, like it was waiting for something I couldn't see. The windows reflected the faint orange sky, turning the home into a shell of what it once was. When I finally stepped inside, every sound echoed. The creak of the floorboards, the soft hum of distant appliances, the heavy beat of my heart. This used to be a place filled with laughter and warmth. But now it felt like a battlefield left behind after a fight no one wanted to admit happened. And somewhere inside this silence, I knew Lila was hurting too. I walked deeper inside, stopping in the hallway where family photos still hung. My hand brushed one frame, Lila as a child smiling beside me, and I felt tears rise before I could stop them. I had tried so hard to protect her, even from the mistakes I made, but now it felt like those same mistakes had been twisted into reasons for her to push me out. Suddenly, the overwhelming truth settled in. If I wanted to fix this, I couldn't wait for Lila to come to me. I had to face her, confront the lies she'd been told, and show her that no matter how much pain stood between us, she was still my daughter. And I wasn't giving up. I drove to Lila's workplace with a tightness in my chest that made each breath feel thinner than the last. I didn't know what I would say or how she would react, but I knew I couldn't let another day pass with both of us, drowning in silence and assumptions. When I saw her step outside during her break, shoulders slumped and eyes rimmed with exhaustion, it hit me that she wasn't my enemy. She was a daughter, carrying fear, alone. The moment she saw me, she froze, her expression tightening as if she expected a fight. But all I wanted was the truth she had been hiding under guilt and pressure. And when I finally spoke her name, something in her face cracked. Lila didn't run. But she didn't come closer either. She stood there, arms wrapped around herself like she was afraid of breaking apart. When I asked why she had gone behind my back, her eyes filled instantly, but she blinked the tears away as if she didn't believe she deserved to cry. She told me she felt trapped, scared that my past mistakes would pull the house into danger again, and she didn't want to lose the only stable place she had ever known. Hearing her voice tremble as she admitted she thought she had no other choice made my heart ache in a way that felt deeper than anger. She wasn't trying to betray me. She was trying to survive. When she finally opened up, the truth came spilling out in broken pieces. She told me Savannah had shown her documents about my past debts, warning her that if I made one wrong move, we could lose everything. She said Ethan insisted the quickest way to secure her future was by getting her name on the house records before anything happened. Hearing those words fueled by manipulation, made something inside me burn. But underneath that fire was guilt. Guilt for hiding my past from her. Guilt for not trusting her with the full truth. I had thought I was protecting her, but all I had done was leave space for someone else to fill her head. I took a step closer, lowering my voice the way I used to when she was small and overwhelmed. I told her I should have trusted her with the truth, that hiding my past wasn't fairness, it was fear. Her eyes widened slightly, as if the idea of me admitting weakness was something she never expected. She whispered that she didn't want to lose the house, didn't want to lose us, but she felt pushed into decisions she didn't understand. The guilt in her voice was thick, and I could hear how long she had carried it alone. In that moment, I realized we weren't standing on opposite sides. We were both trying to find each other through the fog of lies. Lila finally stepped forward, her voice breaking completely as she confessed the part that hurt the most. She never wanted to shut me out. She said she only told me I wasn't welcome because she thought I'd stop her from protecting us. And she didn't know who to trust anymore. Hearing her say she was scared of losing me shattered the last wall between us. I pulled her into my arms, feeling her shoulders shake as she cried, and for the first time in what felt like forever, we were on the same side again. The damage wasn't gone and the consequences were still looming, but in that moment we had something real. Truth. Finally spoken, and a chance to fix what had been broken. The drive back home with Lila beside me felt quieter than any silence we had shared. Not a cold silence anymore, but the kind that settles after a storm, when everything broken finally begins to fall into place. She kept wiping her eyes, staring out the window like she was scared the world might shift again if she blinked. I told her we would fix this together, no matter how messy it had become. And when we pulled into the driveway, the house didn't feel like a threat anymore. It felt like something worth protecting. Lila's voice cracked when she whispered she didn't want strangers walking through our memories, and in that moment, I knew we were finally standing on the same side. Inside, the house felt different, warmer somehow, like it knew we had both fought our way back. Lila followed me through the hallway, stopping in front of the flyers and documents still scattered on the table. She picked them up slowly, almost ashamed to touch them, and whispered that she wanted to make things right. I watched her shoulders shake softly as she apologized, and for the first time her words weren't wrapped in fear or pressure. They were hers, honest, trembling, and full of the guilt she carried alone for too long. I told her forgiveness wasn't something she needed to earn. She just needed to let me in again. We called Ethan together. He tried to hide his panic behind professional politeness, but Lila's steady voice cut through every excuse he offered. She told him she wanted all listings removed immediately, and that any further involvement without her explicit permission would result in legal action. Hearing her stand firm made pride swell in my chest. When the call ended, she looked at me, uncertain but hopeful, and it reminded me of the girl who always used to run to me for help. This time she wasn't running. She was choosing to stand with me. The hardest part came next, facing Savannah. We didn't go to her. We didn't need to. Instead, Lila sent a message, short but clear, cutting off the influence Savannah had held over her. I watched her hand tremble slightly before she hit send, but the relief that washed over her afterward was unmistakable. I realized then how deeply my sister's manipulation had rooted itself into our lives, and how brave Lila was for breaking free from it. I felt a weight lift off both of us, even though I knew the loss of family, no matter how toxic, always left a sting. That evening we sat together on the porch, letting the cool air settle around us. For the first time in what felt like ages, Lila rested her head on my shoulder, and the simple gesture nearly brought me to tears. She whispered that she was sorry, truly sorry, and that she never meant to choose anyone over me. I told her she didn't lose me. Not then. Not now. Not ever. The road ahead was still long, and rebuilding trust would take time. But we had something stronger than the lies that tried to break us. We had the truth, finally shared, and a home that belonged to us again.